Hi, I wanted to make an update video on how to update your 140 cameras. Now this is corresponding to 140, 140 NDI, and 140T. So 140 and 140 NDI would look the same, where they have HDMI and an SDI out, and you have your LAN cable and a power supply, and you can have an image on your monitor. If you have the 140T, you will not have any outputs, and you would need your either a HT-T receiver to power on the camera and give you an image. For instance, if you have an HS1600T, you power it on via that, and on your monitor, you will have your image. If you don't have a HS16, but you have an HPT11, a 12, an HPT6, you would need that to power on the unit and have an image via that receiver coming out HDMI. If for some reason you don't have a receiver, but you need to power on the camera or take it down near a computer where you can update this, depending if it's mounted or not mounted. If you want to take down the camera, you could. All you would need is a 12 volt 2 amp power supply that came with your unit. Okay, if you don't have the power supply, best thing to do is just have the HS16 power on the camera and you're okay. So those are just a couple of things just to note regarding the 140T. It just won't have any outputs, and depending on if you have a power supply or not, you would either need to use your receiver or a power supply to power on the camera. Once you confirm what cameras you have, next on the back of each of those cameras have the same location. Next to the power supply, you have a LAN port. If it's an NDI camera, it would look like this with NDI. But if you have a regular 140 or a 140T, it will just say LAN, L-A-N. You want to have this connected to your network. For me, I have a switch which is connected to a router. So you want to connect this guy to your router or your network, okay? So if you do have it mounted, just connect this to your router. Or another way as well would be directly to your computer, okay? So two options: either connect this to your router, to your network switch, or connect it directly to your computer. If you're doing this directly to your router, then you will need your computer to be connected to that same network as well, okay? So you would need to confirm that you're at 140 and your computer on that same network, and then would recommend hardwiring your router to your router or network and turning off Wi-Fi so there's no conflicts or conflicting with IPs and different IPs depending if you have multiple IPs, okay? If you're doing direct to the computer, you could do that as well. Obviously, you just connect this hardwire to your computer. Adapters usually will have it if you don't have it on your computer itself. And I still recommend turning off Wi-Fi. That way it doesn't conflict when you try to do this process of updating the camera, okay? So those are the couple of things to note, depending on what camera you have for power. And then from there, depending if you're going to connect it to your router or directly to your computer. Same process applies to what I'm going to say. It just depends if you're going to do directly to your router or to your computer, okay? So that's up to you depending on your situation. But after this, the same process applies along the way, okay? Still recommend turning off Wi-Fi, and still recommend hardwiring this directly to your router or hardwiring this directly to there and still turn off Wi-Fi, okay? Once you have that up and you're connected, the next thing we need to do is download your firmware, okay? From there, if you have this video, usually we do send you the files for the firmware. If we don't, it's just a video we're sending you. You can look up on Datavideo.com for your model number, okay? The firmware are not the same for each camera. The 140 has its own firmware. The 140 NDI has its own firmware, and the 140T has its own firmware. So depending on what you have, you need to confirm on the back of your unit. It'll show you your 140. If it's an NDI, it'll say NDI. If it's not an NDI, it'll just show 140. If it's a 140T, it'll say 140T. So just please make a mental note of that, as well to download the correct firmware. From there, we just go to datavideo.com. PTC-140. I have an NDI, so I'm going to do NDI. Okay, go to, when you're in the datavideo.com, datavideo.com, if you're on the home page on the right, you should see the magnifying glass. Go ahead and click on there. And then if anything, you could just do PTC-140, press enter, and it should show you all the product models we have. We have the 140 there, the 140T here, and then the 140 NDI. So again, depending on what you have, go to that product page. If you have a 140 regular, go to the 140 regular. If you have a 140T, go to the 140T. If you have a 140 NDI, go to the 140 NDI. For me, I have the 140 NDI. I'm gonna go ahead and click on there. Your product page is here. Features, media, workflow. Follow this and go to downloads. Once you click the downloads, it'll take you down here. And then you have firmware. Go ahead and click on firmware. And click on the recent firmware that we have there. Once it finishes downloading, on the top right, best thing to do would be show in folder. If you don't have this option there of show in folder, then go down to your left and look at the file explorer, okay? For the sake of this, I'm gonna go and show in flow folder right here, and it'll take me to my download section. If you don't have this, let me just show you. Gonna click on the file explorer, and then from here, click on your downloads. As you can see, it is zipped. It is a zip file. You will need to extract it first before you can use the firmware, okay? Let's go ahead and right click, then extract all. Okay, I extracted the firmware, so now it's ready for me to use. I have an unzipped and a zipped one. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the zipped one because I no longer need that one, which I have the unzipped one, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Next thing you need to know is the IP of your camera, okay? Depending on what firmware you have, if you have an older firmware, it should have a default IP of 192.168.5.163. If it has a newer firmware, I think they changed the IP to be 1.192.168.100.88. But to confirm, best thing to do is if you have the IR remote for the camera, go into the camera's menu. For the 140 cameras, you have this remote, okay? This will be the IR remote that comes with your camera. And then what you would need to do is click on the bottom right here where it says menu. Let me try to focus the camera. Menu is there. If you don't know the IP, you need to find the IP. This is one option to do. You would hit menu, and then you have your screen here. Then from here, go to network settings. Network settings, as you can see currently, its DHCP is off, and I have my IP there, okay? If you don't have a network settings, you probably have an older firmware and would need to update it, obviously, which is what we're trying to do. If you don't have a network settings option here, you have an older firmware. Best thing to do is power off the camera, completely power it off, then go ahead, plug power back in. When you power on the camera, on the top left will show you an IP of that camera, okay? Bear with me as we wait for the image to come back, and should populate an IP on the top left. As you can see here, that is where the IP will populate. You will need to write that down or take a photo of it, and that's your IP of the camera, okay? Once you confirm what the IP of the camera is, you would need to put your computer on the same range. Now, this camera is already in the same range as my network, but I'll still show you the steps on how to put it in the same range, okay? For instance, if this camera was on a 192.168.5.163, this is what you would do, okay? On the bottom left, you go to your magnifying glass for your computer. Then from here, type out control panel. Okay, you see control panel here, click on that. Then from here, you go to network and internet. From network and internet, you go to network and sharing, click on the network and sharing. Then on the right, this is my hardwire connection, okay? This is what I want to click on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Then you have this window. You want to go to properties next. Then Internet Protocol version 4. Let me show you again. That will be Internet Protocol version 4 is where you want to go. You double click that. Then currently it should be obtained. You want to go ahead and use the following IP. Again, if the default IP is 192.168.5.163, you put your computer in the same range. That means you don't put it on the same IP, you just put it in the same range as a 163. So I'm going to just do 100. Oh, let me do that again. Okay, so I'm in the same range, meaning I put it at 192.168.5.100, and then subnet mask should actually be, sorry, I did auto populate, but it should actually be 255.255.255.0. Okay, once you do that, you press OK. And then OK again, and then close. Then for you, if you have the 192.168, or depending what IP you have that's not your network's IP, you go ahead and open up a web browser and type out that IP you currently have, and you press enter. Well, for me, it's not on the same IP range. I'm just showing you for the sake of the video. So let me put my network back. Okay. Again, I'm only doing it, changing it back to obtain IP address because this IP is already on 192.168.10. Our network's a 10, so I don't have to do that step. But most likely, if this is your first time logging into the camera and updating it, follow the steps I just showed you. Press OK. Once you press OK, go ahead and open up the web browser and then type out the address that showed on your camera. I need to remember what mine is again. I'm gonna go to menu for mine. My IP was a 10.217, so it's 192.168.10.217. Okay. Then I press enter. Password and username is admin lowercase for both. Okay. Go ahead and log in. Your first page will be preview. If you haven't updated the camera, this will be blank just because old firmware and the newer updates with Windows is not going to allow it. So from here, go to configuration. Then on the left side, you have down here where it says update. Go ahead and press on update. Then from here, what you want to hit is browse first, okay? So go ahead and click on the browse. Then make sure you're on your downloads and you want the one you just extracted. So click on the one you extracted, double click, then go ahead and start with the first one on top. Usually I go with whatever the first one is on top. You have two files, okay? So just note there's gonna be two files. You pick the first one first, which is on top. You have an ARM and then an SY2, okay? So do the ARM first, which is ARM. Press open. And then after that, you see that it's there, and then you press upgrade. You should see this. Then once you see that, your image is gonna go away. Let me pause here. Once your image goes away, it's updating the first file. What you need to do after is wait for your image to come back up again. Then you could go ahead and add the second file. So what I'm gonna do now is just wait and show you that it's rebooting now. It lost image. At this point, you're gonna be waiting. I'm gonna pause here and just wait for the image to come back up, okay? Okay, my image just came back, which is what we want. Once the image comes back, you go ahead over here. Go ahead and press confirm from the first update. Then you go back to the browse again. Click on the second one, press open. Just make sure that second file is there it's reading correct. Hit upgrade again. You'll see this bar again. And then you want to wait. That will be the progress bar. It should reboot again once the file goes through. Bear with me. Says confirm. Unit is now boot cycling. Once the image comes back up, the unit is basically finished updating at that point. I'm going to pause here again, wait for the image to come back. Once the image comes back, at that point, you can go back over here, press confirm one more time. Then what you're going to do is hit refresh on the page. Sometimes what does happen too, after you hit refresh, the IP might change again, okay? If it doesn't load, like how it did right now, it took me back to the main window screen. If it doesn't load and it just shows it's not connecting, go back to your camera, use that remote, and go into the menu and then look at network settings. After you update it, you should have network settings now. Go in there and see what the current IP is, and it might have given you a new IP, and then type that new IP onto your web browser. But then you would have to put your computer back on the same network, which I'll show you right now. So it's updated, we're able to reconnect. Once you update it and you found out it has a new IP, then what you need to do at this point is just go back to your control panel. Okay, click on the Ethernet, go to properties again, go to your Internet Protocol version 4. Right now, in theory, yours should be showing use the following IP address. Go ahead and just click back to obtain IP address automatically for both. Press OK. Press OK. Close, and now you can close this. Once you're done with that, I would recommend actually going back into your camera menu, go to network settings, and turning on DHCP. When you move the arrows to the right, it's going to turn on. It automatically boots up and power cycles once you do any changes with networking, okay? This is going to boot cycle and then connect to your network and give it a new IP. If you're just doing it directly to your computer and you're not on a network, you don't have to do this process. Once you're done updating, just connect it back to your switcher or your location wherever you're at, and then you're good to go from there. But again, if that's the case, depending on your situation, you just log back into the web UI in the web browser and you press enter, and admin is still the password and username, okay? Hopefully this video helps with updating the unit. It is a lot of information and does require networking, but hopefully this video helps and gets you through that process. If you have any questions, just go ahead and email support@datavideo.com. Thank you.